novice here, so being the host is having me out of my element. But I think we can go ahead and safely start because I feel like this is going to be our group here. I'm going to actually share my screen and do a presentation so that you don't have to just look at my face this entire time. Let me go ahead and initiate that. Go. Okay, can everybody see my screen?
Yes, we see.
It should be a wonderful still frame of a bunch of happy volunteers and a happy participant. Okay. Well, welcome to the Komen Tissue Bank Volunteer Orientation. We have done this mainly in the past in person, but we've switched over to Zoom to try and make it a little bit more accommodating for everyone's busy schedule. So we thank you for taking time out this Thursday to be with us. We're getting very excited for our June events. I'm going to begin with introducing my team here at the Komen Tissue Bank. My name is Julia, and you've probably been getting many emails from me. I am the Event and Regulatory Coordinator. Our clinical trial is led by Dr. Michelle Cote. She is our principal investigator and a PhD epidemiologist. Our other fearless leader is Jill Henry. She is, I guess, wears many hats. I like to call her the COO of the Komen Tissue Bank, but she is also the manager of BC Squared Biospecimen Collection and Banking Core here at the IU School of Medicine. Kathy Ridley Merriweather has been for years our tried and true communication and minority outreach liaison and expert. She is also now sharing her talents with BC Squared. Rana German is our biospecimen manager. Allison Hughes is our data and program assistant here at the Komen Tissue Bank. Sam Reisdijk is our bioinformatics guru, does all sorts of magic with our database and is the team lead for computer assistance. And Jenny Shui, she is the KTB data analyst. So that is our happy team. We like to take our volunteers back to the start of where the Komen Tissue Bank actually originated from. In the early 2000s, a local conference called the Amelia Project gathered researchers who were investigating breast cancer initiation and other things. And one such researcher reached out to the group asking where they could find a source of normal tissue for their experiment. And the collection of researchers pretty much shut that down, saying that that is not a resource that exists. Thankfully, there was a breast cancer advocate in the crowd by the name of Connie Rufenbarger, who questioned why doesn't this resource exist? And she took that challenge and found a great partner in Dr. Anna Maria Storniolo, and the two of them put their heads together and really got the idea and concept going from there. They were able to slowly begin by collecting blood samples from healthy women and progress to match tissue. But where we really got our foundation was in 2007. We were awarded a substantial grant from Susan G. Komen that allowed us to really take off with that funding and establish the biobank as it is today, where we are able to have these collection events on Saturdays and invite healthy women to enroll in our clinical trial. We began mainly, of course, in Indiana. That's where our roots are. But slowly we have grown into taking the Komen Tissue Bank show on the road and have gone to several different states. all the way from California to New York in an effort to increase the diversity of our samples of the biobank. Indiana is not the most diverse state, and we know that, and we are working hard to expand the diversity so that the biobank reflects the population. Moving forward to where closer to present day, we not only are about to hit our 5,000th tissue sample, which is a huge triumph for the tissue bank, but we, as of November 2022, have started taking tissue samples from men. And that actually leads us to today, where we are hoping to have our first ever male-only event. We decided to do this for a couple of reasons, mainly because we were unable to have any male participants come to our January event, but we also just wanted to focus during, I think it's June is Men's Health Awareness Month or something of that sort. And it seemed to just lend itself really well to doing this. So here are some bullet point highlights for our event. We are looking to enroll 30 healthy male participants to our clinical trial. There are still appointments available if you have any men in your life that are interested in donating. That is a not so subtle plug that we would like to see all appointments be booked and ready to go prior to next Saturday. We have over 100 volunteers, including yourselves, that will be in attendance as well. And we cannot do this without our volunteers. It literally would be impossible for our small team to accomplish such an event on our own. So we appreciate each and every one of you. Volunteers range from men and women who are there to help our participants along the process in being donor escorts, all the way up to volunteer physicians who donate their time and talent to actually doing the biopsy procedures. So it's a very wide-ranging group of volunteers that we have that come to our events. Of note, is particularly if you have been to an event before, I want to reiterate that this is going to be a short half-day event, and in that our shift, will start as usual at 7:30, but we hope to be wrapped up by noon. I'd like to honor that as fast as I possibly can, but I've actually never been to a half-day event, so I'm kind of working this through hypothetically. But I believe with our last participant arriving at 10:30, we should be well on our way to wrapping up at around noon. And therefore, there will not be a lunch provided at this event. Moving into general information for event day, I really like to emphasize parking, as that is one of the downsides to being on IUPUI's campus. It can be a little confusing or disorienting for some about where to park. Always a good idea to leave a little extra time prior to arriving at 7:30 for finding your parking. This is an image actually of the Vermont Street parking garage. That is where you will want to park the morning of. Here is more of a map for those that prefer visualizing it on a map. Here's the address, and all of this should be in your communication from me so that you can put it into your GPS or anything like that. The parking garage is attached to the IUPUI Student Center, so it's a fairly large building that's a good landmark in order to find the Vermont Street parking garage. The entrance is actually on the southern side off of Vermont Street, hence the name. Once you enter the parking garage, you'll take a parking validation first off, and then you're going to want to make your way as close as you can to the third floor to park. That will ensure that you are pretty close to the walkway that you will need to get to walk over to the cancer center. Of note, we will be validating your parking for the day, but you don't need to take your parking pass or your parking ticket into the event with you. You can go ahead and leave that in your car. Also, some good things to leave in your car would be bulky items like your coat or anything really big, like a big purse. I wouldn't recommend even taking a purse with you that day, nor leaving it in your car. If you could really streamline your personal belongings to being the bare necessities, that would be great. We don't have any safe space in the cancer center for you to store your items. So if you do choose to put them down somewhere, that really is at your own risk. I'd recommend just having your keys and your cell phone in your back pocket and walking in, even if it's a chilly morning, which for June 10th, hopefully it won't be, but just leaving any other extra layers possibly in your car if you can. When you exit the 3rd floor of the parking garage, it will be this lovely glass walkway that will take you to the 2nd floor of the IU Simon Comprehensive Cancer Center. It'll be hopefully well signed, or we'll have a lot of directional signage once you get to this point for both volunteers and for donors. You will literally walk off of that walkway into our event, and you'll be looking for signs that will direct you to volunteer check-in. Part of coming to this orientation hopefully will expedite volunteer check-in so that it's not such a logjam of people arriving to do their forms and not understanding where they're going. We feel like orientation answers a lot of questions up front, and that can be very helpful. You will want to meet with probably, I think Jill is going to be our volunteer check-in person, if not Allison being there as well. They will check you in off of our little volunteer check sheet, and then you'll need to create a name tag for yourself, which will be located on a table. Our name tags are actually color-coded by the job that you have signed up for. So you will find your title and make a name tag for yourself. If you have not completed your volunteer forms, which I think we will be able to have that done in advance, we will have paper copies there as well for you to do. The 3 forms are pretty straightforward. I'll explain them just a little bit. The first is a media release form, which allows us to take photos of you at this event. If you would prefer not to have your photo taken, please, you can decline the media release. I just ask that you take that on yourself to tell the photographer not to take a photo of you. The next form is a confidentiality agreement. We want to really emphasize that this is a clinical trial, that fundamentally is an anonymous process, in that these participants are donating their samples to us anonymously. Now, many of our participants elect to disclose to the whole world on their Facebook and all of their friends that they have donated to the Komen Tissue Bank, and that is perfectly fine for them to share that. But we as volunteers are not to pass on to anybody else the name of the participants that have come to our events. Lastly, and very much more importantly, is a form that is your emergency contact information. Just in case something happens, we would like to know who to contact on your behalf. Now that all that's taken care of, what you will do after you have your name tag and your forms are hopefully already done, you will find your job description area. So we'll have our signs with the job description posted in different parts of the volunteer check-in space. And you will go and hang out under your sign and wait for your area lead to come and find you. Area leads are very critical members of our team. They may actually be Komen Tissue Bank staff, or they could be veteran volunteers who have been doing this for a number of years. Either way, they are going to be your point person for the day. They will have a knowledge of not only what your role and your responsibilities are, but they will also be able to answer any questions you may have, concerns. If there's a problem that comes up, they're going to be the problem solvers. And they will help get you started at the beginning of the day, whether that's through some morning of training, or perhaps with donor escorts, they will assign you your particular route that you will be escorting to and from, and everyone will be placed in the beginning of the day by the area lead. Fast forwarding to the end of the event, we would appreciate you if you would not leave until your area lead has dismissed you for the day. I know that sounds very almost teacher-like of me to say, but we want to make sure that our event is the same for the first participant of the day at 8 a.m. as it is for that participant that arrives at 10:30 for the last appointment. And by doing that, we want to make sure that people don't start to break down their area or perhaps leave the back hallway because they need to get home. That will just be a very disorganized way to leave things for that last participant. So if you could make sure that you wait at the end of the day to be told by your area lead that you're ready to go, we would very much appreciate that. On to what to wear, a very controversial topic. Some people are all about the green and some people do not like it. I happen to be, a little impartial, I guess, to the green. It really is our only requirement of you is to wear this green t-shirt. I'm sorry that by having a virtual orientation, I am unable to give you your t-shirt today. That's one of the drawbacks to this. You will have an opportunity at check-in to pick up a t-shirt in whatever size you want. We'll have all sizes available and you can change into it. I recommend for the rest of your outfit, just be something you're comfortable in, especially your footwear, comfortable shoes. You will probably be on your feet all day. Very few volunteers are seated. Something that has, perhaps pockets would be beneficial for your cell phone. Not every yoga pants I've learned has pockets. I had to learn that one the hard way. But really our basic requirement is that you come with the green t-shirt and a smile. And then that will be what you can wear to any event here on out. Your green t-shirt is sort of the uniform of volunteers. For those of you, and I'm not sure if anyone here at orientation, this applies to you, but some of our volunteers are handling actual biospecimens. And we ask that everyone be aware that we need to follow universal safety precautions in that if you are physically handling these biospecimens, you need to be wearing personal protection equipment such as gloves. For those of you who may not be directly in contact with them, just be aware that that is part of what we're doing, especially in the back of the event space. And be aware of your surroundings just so you don't bump into anybody and generally taking care of yourself. Here's a map, and I would love to physically hand this map to all of you so that you could take a look at it. I aspire to send this map actually by email to all of you prior to or after this orientation so that you can take a look at it. Some things to point out for volunteers. The schematic here kind of cuts off, not kind of, it does cut off our volunteer check-in. There's just this helpful little arrow that tells you that this is where you will check in the morning. There are a couple of restrooms located right here as well to to the right of donor check-in that you can use or utilize for changing into your green t-shirts that morning. We do have a coat check, but I want to repeat that that's going to be for participants, not for our volunteers. Another handy thing to point out is we will have a coffee and smoothie cart available for everyone, volunteers and donors, located next to Station 2 in Consenting. Many people need coffee to start their morning, and I am one of those people. So we will have that operational when you arrive at 7:30. And I've heard that the smoothies are a big hit. I'm going on a 12-year streak of never having a smoothie myself, but I hear that is a huge highlight of many to try different flavors of smoothies. Just to go back to the bathrooms, there should be many bathrooms back in the clinic space, but probably the most convenient one to point out for volunteers is actually located just off the waiting area here. They're not obvious because they're behind this structure on the window side of this beautiful curved wall. It has a lovely quilt of a tree located on it, and if you just go to the other side, there are 2 bathrooms there as well. Okay. Now, hopefully, I'm going to play a video. This will explain the donation process. So perhaps I should stop here. Does anybody have any questions at this point before I begin the video? We can have questions at the end as well. Okay. Sometimes I don't remember how long I've been talking, so I made a note to pause every now and then. I will go ahead and play this video.
Julia, did you optimize for video before?
All our volunteers.
Oops.
Yes.
Sorry, what was that? Oh,
It was doing just fine. I just hadn't heard any sound yet, and I was making sure you optimized for video before you started the meeting.
okay. I'm not great at this, so hopefully I've done it correctly.
What the event is like from the donor's perspective, no matter your role at the event. Each participant pre-registers for an appointment prior to an event. They are guided through the donation process by donor escorts to make sure they accomplish each station in the proper order. They will arrive at Station 1, donor check-in, and be escorted to Station 2, informed consent. We are a clinical trial, and therefore each participant must meet with an informed consenter before any study activity can be initiated. They will complete the required paperwork and move on to Station 3, height and weight. Each participant is weighed and measured, and the results will be written on a card. At Station 4, questionnaire, the participant will complete a very detailed questionnaire about their personal and family medical history. Following Station 4, the participant will check in at Station 5, blood draw. Participants will use the waiting area in case there is a waiting list. Once a phlebotomist is available, they will have their blood drawn and return to the waiting area. Each participant will donate 3 tubes of blood that will be processed into serum, plasma, and DNA samples. All samples are processed on site at the collection event in what we refer to as our pop-up lab. Participants will check in at Station 6, tissue donation. When the room coordinator calls their name, a donor escort will guide the participant to their biopsy room to meet with a surgeon assistant and physician. The biopsy process is explained again in detail, and the participant is given another opportunity to ask questions with a medical provider. Here is a quick outline of the procedure. The participant undresses from the waist up. The breast to be biopsied is cleaned and numbed so that the participant does not feel anything more than pressure. A small incision is made in the skin with a scalpel. The physician will then insert the biopsy device once, and 6 to 7 cores of tissue, sometimes fewer, are removed from the breast. The device is removed and pressure is held for 10 minutes. The surgical assistant will then place a strong adhesive closure called a steri-strip over the incision site and then a gauze bandage. While bandaging, the surgical assistant will explain the post-procedure instructions. An ice pack will be given to the participant in the procedure room and also another in their gift bag. After the participant is dressed, they will be escorted to the final station 7, donor checkout. This is where they will receive that gift bag as well as a copy of the post-procedure instructions and informed consent for their records. We hope that this entire process from start to finish takes only 60 to 90 minutes. If you have an interest in donating during your volunteer shift, please contact Julia Von Arks in advance of the event or your area lead on the day of the event. We will try our best to allow you to do both. Please feel free to share your volunteer experience on your personal social media. We will have signs at the event with our social media hashtags and would appreciate if you could include them. We ask that you respect the privacy of our participants and other volunteers. Part of the confidentiality agreement includes acknowledging the research process as anonymous and discreet. No social media pictures should be taken of the participants or the biopsy procedure without consent.
Okay. Moving on, this is probably easier for you to access the volunteer forms through the emails that I have been sending, but for those that prefer a QR code, I have that right here. I will be closing down the online forms probably the Thursday of next week. I think most people have actually been pretty quick about it at this event. I'm going to go ahead and stop right there. That is what I have for the general information. Does anybody have any questions? Does any of my team have anything else to add? Kathy?
Julia, will you stop sharing?
Yes. Okay. Well, I think I have a pretty good feel for the different jobs that most of you have. I have, let's see, I've got informed consenter, a donor escort, Victoria, you're a surgeon assistant. Let me see. I guess so. Stephanie, what is your job?
I think I'm part of the cleanup,
Part of cleanup. Okay,
and I'm also volunteering the day before for setup.
perfect. Okay, great. Thank you for coming. Volunteer setup, which Friday event setup, we didn't really get into that part. That's another very critical thing. We could not start first thing Saturday morning if we had not been able to set up the night before. So for very, very many reasons, that day is also critical. So Kathy, I can create the breakout rooms. At this point, would you like to take Stephanie with you in the donor escort with Jennifer and handle Friday setup and cleanup crew?
Sure.
Yellow.
Yeah, so because Jennifer is your other donor escort, so I'll create one room for that, one room for informed consent, and one for surgeon assistants. So I'm counting 3, and then Versi, are you going to be a donor escort at this event?
Yes.
Okay, all right, great. I think that covers it.
Did I hear that I'm doing something on Friday, or is it all Saturday? I'm sorry.
No, you are a Saturday donor escort.
Okay. Thank you. That's what I thought. Okay.
Okay. Great. Let participants choose their room, or shall I assign? What do you think? Assign? Okay. Make this Kathy's room.
Did you answer I can't remember how I sent it to you now, Julia. Question about how many Post-it note people I would need?
No.
I did, Kathy.
You did already? I haven't gotten back to it. How many did you
I
say?
think we are gonna have 12 rooms.
Okay.
And
Okay.
Julia, can you put Jenny into Kathy's room?
Yeah.
Allison, you want to come to my room?
Okay, I'm gonna rename this Jill's room. Yeah, they don't make this easy to. Okay, and I'm gonna do Allison, Jill. And there we go. And then Julia's room. I'm forgetting the S. Oh, I need to assign Kathy to her own room. Duh. Okay. All right. Did it work? Okay. Hopefully everybody made it